to another edition of the Magic Show. This week we're diving into a whole raft of spoilers. Yes, this set is friggin' sweet and it's time to dive right in. First up, the dragons rule the roost. Really? Cons were big badasses who were smashing helms and punching bears, and now they just hope they can be eaten one day. I mean, come on, you bunch of weenies. Zergo spending all of his time ringing that damn bell. You know what it needs more of? You know, still a 2/2 for a single red mana, and it has dash. Card is sweet and very much playable. Also, his buddy Lightning Berserker, because you just add a dash, a fire breathing to that guy, and you have one of the most pushed 1-drops I've seen since, well, we'll talk about it in a bit. So the featured dragons in this set are sweet, and they're not just dragons, they're not even legendary dragons, oh no, it's legendary Elder Dragon time, people. Deal with it. The only dragons to ever get the Elder moniker in the history of Magic are a certain 5 from the 1994 set Legends, and kinda inspired their own format Elder Dragon Highlander, also known as Commander, so these guys better be damn good to live up to that name. And I gotta say, some of them truly are. Dragonlord of Tarkir is up first. This guy is a flying house. Seriously, a house with wings, people. An 8/8 for 7 mana with flying and trample. Fantastic. This card is absurd for its cost, and while it can't go to the face like Bogart and Hellkite, it does hit Planeswalkers and just so happens to be exactly enough to kill a +1 to Elspeth, and it wipes the boards with ease. Also, Whip of Erebos is a card. Just saying. Expect this guy to see play. He's also the only dragon who can actually do anything in multiples. While you'll lose the first one if you play another, at least you'll get another 5 damage to spread around. Dragonlord Silumgar is next. Now, if you've played with Solar Temptation, you know how good this effect is. Now, granted, it wasn't 6 mana, but it also only took creatures. Planeswalkers are a core element to play these days, and while Jace Beleren saw play back in the day in Fairies decks, old Silumgar here is taking Sarkans and Elspeth like it's his job, because it is. Anyway, being Stoke the Flames proof is important, and a 3/5 flying Death Touch definitely dodges Elspeth's -3 ability. With blue-black control being a viable archetype in Standard, Take Your Stuff is always a powerful ability. Next is Dragonlord Dramaka, a somewhat smaller house that is flying, but still a house that flies. 5/7 flying lifelink is awesome. Guaranteed to hit regardless of counterspells, also awesome, but it's weird that the most likely home for this guy is, vintage? You see, the card Oath of Druids exists, and as such, getting this guy in your upkeep via the enchantment and your use of Forbidden Orchard, you now have a huge monster, but most importantly, your opponent officially sits on their hands. And in a world of ancestral recalls and time walks, that could quickly be your last turn. Dragonlord Ojutai. Well, that's just the Jeskai clan, now turning the Ojutai clan, also known as going from Wurtang to Wu-Tang. Yup! Protect your deck and give respect to this sweet-looking red and white feathered dragon and let you play Mini Impulse when you hit somebody. Well, I would love for this guy to see play. I don't see it. Black is a color in Magic, and that hexproof doesn't last while he's sideways. Cute, but I feel it's unlikely. But hey, Wu-Tang, am I right? Eh? And lastly, Dragonlord Kolaghan. This guy is huge and hasty. Hell, Rorix was a tournament staple, and this guy costs the same converted mana cost and is easier to play, and has a bunch of other sweet abilities like giving your guys haste and that weird 10 life thing. I find it hilarious that this guy is completely terrible in Commander, if not almost unplayable. I mean, I guess if you need a dragon, just put a little slip of paper on the bottom half down there, because it ain't gonna matter. Alright, so we know our new dragon clans and their leaders. What's good in this set? Dramoka's command is pretty damn boss. Alongside a Tarka's command that should be super sweet and modern thanks to getting around the targeting restriction to deal damage, Dramoka's command has all the flexibility. The ability to have 4 impactful modes is just awesome. Basically guaranteed 2-for-1s. Oh, you spoil me, Watsy. You spoil me. I mean, Oshutai's command is like the Miller Lite of cryptic commands. Same great taste, but really less filling. Regardless, drawing cards and counterspells like it's 2007 up in here. I would like Silumgar's command if it didn't cost $1 million, and Kolaghan's command doesn't look like much. But those are some spicy options. The discard at instant speed always is. Can we take a moment here and just look at the ridiculous number of dragons this set has? Just dragon. There is an absolute ton of them in here, and I love it. Who doesn't love a gigantic, epic, flying monster that breathes fire? Like this guy, Thunderbreak Regent. Damn, those stats are sexy. I tell you what, back in my day, we sacrificed 2 mountains to get a 5/5, and we were just happy it flew. This guy is value stacked, and in the green-red aggro deck coming out on turn 3, this guy is going to put a hurtin' on somebody. Speaking of green-red aggro, it's weird to see people dissing my boy Surok, the Hunt Caller. So I need 3 power on the board, and this guy gives himself haste the turn you play him, and then basically every turn thereafter, every creature I play is going to have haste. That's good, clean living, people. And old Surok here can provide the beat and the stick. But how are you going to find those beat sticks? Well, with a Tutor, of course, and Draconic Tutor is damn sexy. I mean, Sarkhan's Triumph, whatever. You know the playtest name was better, Wizards. You know it. Anyway, this card is fantastic and exciting because of one word. Yep. There it is! This thing at the end of your opponent's turn is a narrow Eldamiri's Call, and it doesn't require white or green mana, thank you very much. There are a whopping 21 red cards in the history of Magic that lets you search your library for anything, and that includes stuff like Fiery Fall and Unglued's Goblin Tutor. But when it comes to fighting dragons, there is Dragonstorm, but that doesn't count because it's completely busted. Dragon's Herald, which is a bad card with a great name they used up for Shards of Alara, but hey, well, at least we got Dragon Fodder back, yeah? But the card that does exactly what Draconic Tutor does, while you'd have to invest just 11 mana, both morphing and unmorphing Imperial Hellkite. And that's just to give you the privilege of finding a dragon and putting it into your hand. You ought to be thankful. Speaking of crazy red instants, did anyone expect the effect of Commune with Lava to be at instant speed? I think Wizards realized that Act on Impulse was cool, but ultimately incredibly tame. Chandra Pyromaster and Outpost Siege have shown that this effect is great, but it's not backbreaking. And it's an incredible way to give red card advantage. I mean, is this the Red Sphinx's revelation? But you have to be able to capitalize it. This is a really sweet way to stop putting draw a card on red cards and instead giving them this option. Anyway, this card looks damn fine. I wouldn't be surprised if the green-red Devotion deck fires this thing off for 1,000,000, then untaps and plays everything it wants. Meanwhile, Braingeyser was reprinted in black as Damnable Pact, and I'll be damned myself if this thing doesn't have a ton of flexibility, because not only is it a draw spell, it's a fireball of sorts. And if that stupid green-white Mastery of the Unseen deck gains 1,000,000 life, well, just think of it as a milling spell and kill him that way. Spoiled early and only given a bit of interest, the DC Undead Vizier is sweet. Sure, I dismissed version 1.0, but I'm not going to sleep on this one. With plenty of token makers these days, plus the power of, tutoring for anything, this Diabolic Intent on a stick is fine by me, particularly as a 4/6 for just 5 mana. Block them Siege Rhinos all day, Sidisi. Block them. Remember that pushed 1-drop I spoke of? Myth Realized looks amazing. Seriously, guys, 1 mana threats that can be huge mana sinks? I wonder if blue-white has a ton of mana in the endgame, doesn't have anything to do on turn 1, and thrives on non-creature spells. While this card was exciting, it was the mana sink that really pushes it over the top. And if you'd like a little historical perspective, check out Baku Altar. Yeah, I know, it's Kamigawa whatever, but it's also completely, hilariously terrible. This card requires you to play Spirit or Arcane spells, the latter only printed in Kamigawa block, and even then, after you play 2 to cast it, you gotta pay another 2 to activate it after you cast it. Alright, this is so dumb, I'm not even going to finish it. You get it. Myth Realized has a ton of potential, and in a very spell-heavy format like Legacy, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. But what did Twitter tell us? 2 to 1 this guy won't see Legacy play. We shall see. And I certainly understand that Abrupt Decay is a card, and Swords to Plowshares. But this is also a card that doesn't travel without blue spells nearby. Lots of them. Anyway, I haven't spoken about the mechanics in this set much because they're kind of a rehash, or they're this weird twist. Megamorph, huh? Couldn't have been Mighty Morph, could it? Because then they would have been Mighty Morph, and you get it. Point is, Megamorph is a little, I don't know, unexciting, but the cards it is on certainly aren't. Stratus Dancer can do some serious work once you untap with it, and Den Protector looks to be just right when it comes to an Eternal Witness-esque creature we've been looking for years. Iron Shaman has a lot of potential as a red beatdown stick, not only requiring the 2 blockers, but getting a free card off the top? Hell yeah! Dragon Whisperer is hands down the best damn art in the set, and it is not close, dynamic, and powerful, and beautiful. Good lord, man, way to go. As a card, I suspect it could be good. Alongside an Elvish Mystic and Plukernos, this guy's active. So, try and help you out because most seem to really dislike Formidable. But I think it has some real potential. Our creatures are so good these days. A ton of power on the board is not that uncommon or even difficult to achieve. It's funny to me that many of these cards would just up and die if it weren't for Nykthos. This card produces a ton of mana and Wizards seem to have hit it perfectly. This card makes a ton of mana but isn't broken, provides gameplay that isn't stale, and is always exciting. I assure you, standard players, you will miss this card when it's gone. Also, all the Scrylands, you just don't know. Deathmist Raptor seems to be flying under the radar, but don't underestimate the swag that this card brings. This is one of those cards that people kind of forget stack. Opponents kill the first 2, well, you unmorph Runeclaw Mystic, you flip it up, and then you get a chance of 2 3/3 Death Touchers or 2 morphs that are going to mess up your opponent's face. And if you choose to morph both, now your opponent has to have a sweeper, because if they kill one, when you megamorph the second one, you're going to get the first one back. Recursion is powerful, you know what I'm saying? Ojutai Exemplars have like 1,000,000 switches, just stuff everywhere, tapping and for striking, blinking when you try to kill it. This is a card that really looks like it needs some playtesting to truly find out what these guys are capable of. I do really appreciate the thematic artwork with 3 badass monks and 3 awesome abilities. Annafen's a Kintree spirit would be so good if the tokens triggered on her bonus as well. So good! But alas, she requires to invest cards for that bolstering, and as such, she will probably be regulated to casual play. But hey, Roast is here! Take that, you stupid rhino! Ugh, just so tired of your incredibly mana-efficient self, not to mention Tassiger. You want to talk about a card that snuck up on everybody? And as usual, when it finally broke, people were like, yeah, I knew it was good. I just didn't want to say anything, right away. Look, I love Tassiger, and I absolutely love the fact that he's now a charm on the neck of Sylamgar, and Roast is just the mana-efficient spell you want and need to get rid of those huge monsters in your way. Sizzle, sizzle. Radiant Purge is destined for sideboards all over the world. Yep, Siege Rhino is the hot new crap these days, and Wizards knew what they were doing when they unleashed that monster on the world. Everything needs to kill it now, and everyone needs an answer. This set has plenty. Anticipate is a really interesting card. Wizards is toying now with how good 2-mana cantrips can be, as 1-mana cantrips have been pretty well established as busted. This card can see a ton of play in blue-white control decks that need something to do on turn 2 and finding what they need quickly, as well as putting those they don't want on the bottom. This is powerful stuff. Sure, it's a worse impulse, but that doesn't mean it isn't good or isn't playable. As for reprinted favorites coming back, look at that Duress! A sweet picture and a great spell to have in Standard. And there's Ultimate Price, a sweet removal spell that saw plenty of play in Return to Ravnica Standard and should see plenty now. Of course, it may be regulated to sideboards until the Rhino in the room gets out. Well, wait a minute. Wait, they're in the same block. Oh, God. Haven of the Spirit Dragon, while it may not be super competitive, is a damn cool land. Returning a dragon or Ugin Planeswalker, man, that is hot stuff and a really neat design. I like it. All right, so I guess that's all for my drag... Wait. I might not have mentioned a few cards, mythics, little ones, nothing major. So how about that Narset Transcendent? Talk about an incredibly sexy looking walker, and I ain't talking looks. This girl is just the right mana cost with some really sweet abilities. Let's start with the loyalty, which is super high. 6 starting loyalty with a +1. Damn girl, that's a mighty fine loyalty count you got there. Or I could -2 and spend just 1 more mana, delve me, and get some rebounded treasure cruise. Oh, don't mind if I do. The Christmas land scenarios with this Planeswalker are many. There was hype on all sides as to whether this could actually reach into Legacy. Could this really pass the Jace test? The test that says this Planeswalker has to be at least as good or better than Jace the Mind Sculptor to see play at this mana cost? And people were saying that Narset passed! Now look, I'm gonna let you finish, but I've eaten crow over Jace. I've lamented about Jace. We've seen Jace completely dominate Standard and get banned in Modern and kick ass in Legacy, and while I too pulled into the hype machine for a while on Narset, I think we actually know what the best card in the set is. His name is Sarkhan, and he's unbroken. Sarkhan has been just a boss to crazy to speaking to dragons that aren't even there to traveling back in time and bringing his serious dragon badassery back with him. The difference between Sarkhan and Narset is really about being able to do stuff when you're out of cards or playing off the top of your deck. Narset may draw you a creature card, but you have almost as good chances revealing a land. But let's not forget the best upside to Sarkhan. He makes dragons. Yes, there will be dragons afoot, and if you just play Sarkhan, make a dragon and pass, and next turn you make another dragon, that could just be game right there. And if you want to have him stick around, well, he's always good for another card and a free mana. Sweet bonuses with another dragon coming next turn, and a swing for 4 in the air. Narset is super cool, don't get me wrong, and Lord knows I want her to work. I hope she's great. But when you show me a walker that not only protects itself with a 4/4 flying monster, but can draw me a card guaranteed every turn plus free mana, it is hard to argue there. Not to mention that crazy Timmylicious ability. Oh yeah, I will go and get every sweet creature in my deck and just throw it out there. Sure. Regardless of who wins, these two walkers are very excited and have done their job well for making me excited to play with the set. So let's do it. This week you can sit down with Brad Nelson and myself to discuss every single card in the set. And rest assured, those pie bets will be relinquished. They will! Look for it this week. So until then, like, subscribe, comment, check out my Patreon page for the Magic Show if you're so inclined. And until next time, Magic players, this is Evan Irwin, tapping the cards so you don't have to.
I always like the fatties.